Welcome to the Yoked podcast. I'm your host, Travis Hall, alongside my wife and co-host, Ingrid.
On this podcast, we talk about all things real estate, entrepreneurship, business, faith, family, you name it, we talk about it, and how we do it all as an equally yoked husband and wife team.
We are glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this week's episode. What's up, and welcome to the Yoked podcast. The next episode.
Right?
Yes.
What number is it?
Like 37, 38, 100.
It's up there.
It feels like 1,000. It's up there. Hey, I'm proud. We're literally almost 40 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I'm excited for this one. Is this book club week?
Yes.
A little updates on what things are happening. And for those of you who follow me on social, so this is a plug to follow me, you know that I'm so excited. I officially was able to record Yoked on a boat.
I love it.
It's coming soon.
Everything about it.
I know. It was chilly. It was like 38 on the water.
I know.
But
it was the last day that you could have done it.
It was the last day of boat club. And they sent out the message and I'm like, I am going. If it's not raining, I'm going. And I went.
You looked beautiful.
It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was fun. And it was just a fun episode. And I've been wanting to do it and I did it.
Good job.
Yes. Yoked on a boat. Coming soon. Coming to a podcast near you.
Hey, what are you drinking?
A delicious latte. Double shot latte with one packet of sugar in the raw from our favorite coffee shop, Boost Espresso. I wish they would sponsor this podcast because then we could have Boost every single time. But they're just so great. They're down the street. We walk there. Their Boost, they always give a message, an affirmation of sorts. And a lot of them are Christian affirmations, which is cool. Mine says, focus on God. He's got you. What does yours say?
Mine says, you matter. I'm drinking a protein shake, which I don't usually get. But yeah, isn't that appropriate? Because we're talking about our book about mattering.
Yeah, today's book
it says you matter.
Was never enough.
This is called a Jacked O-Lantern.
Very good. Sweet. Shout out Boost Espresso. If you're listening, which I know you're not, but maybe you should.
Maybe they will.
We love you.
We do love you.
And we think you're so good. All right, let's talk. Let's talk about market. So, in this episode, recently the Fed just met. Yeah. And they dropped rates.
Yep.
A whopping quarter point.
Which is just basis points.
Quarter basis points.
Yeah, sometimes.
This is in October.
You make them,
2025, they dropped again, which was expected. And mortgage rates went down significantly. Not.
They went up.
They went up just like the last time.
Which we've talked about this before, but I think when people say, oh, the Fed cut rates, a lot of people think, oh, that means mortgage rates.
Right.
No.
It does not.
It doesn't.
It's good. I mean,
it is good.
They will come down, but it's not a direct correlation.
No. So what does this mean, though, for the market?
Right. So I got some information on just general market. So I pulled some stats in Coeur d'Alene as well, because I'm like, let's talk about Coeur d'Alene market. Mm-hmm. Coeur d'Alene market is a little different. Average days on market in Coeur d'Alene is 72. So it's relatively high.
Yeah.
It's still a strong market. As far as median sales price that is closed, we are down just under 1% year over year. So not that much.
No.
The list price is up year over year.
People are packing that in.
When you have to look at median because there's such a high swing. It's like a mountain town, like Vail, where you have really, really high end properties, super expensive outliers, and then you have not even Vail. Like Vail doesn't have that big of a swing, but here you have your normal homes, and then you have some crazy expensive ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the inventory is up. It's definitely a slower market, and that is across the board. We're seeing that a lot.
Yes.
And one thing that we're seeing in the Denver metro is there's still competition.
Yes. I mean, just talking this morning, there's an agent who has been beat out on 4 houses now with his buyers in Arvada, like competitive price range, 400 to 500, but has lost out on 4 properties because of multiple offers.
Which is interesting. I mean, that's not
fascinating.
I wouldn't say that's the norm by any means.
No, but it is still happening.
The norm is buyers are taking their time.
Yeah.
buyers are evaluating, and they're evaluating more and even more.
But there's renewed inquiries. So lots of mortgage rate applications, lots of showing activity has a bump over these last few weeks in anticipation of this, because mortgage rates are always baked in ahead of time. But again, very hesitant offers. People are running lots of scenarios before even going to see a house. Buyers are continuing to just think the bejesus out of it before they do anything.
And we've seen some kind of common things with potential sellers out here, sellers that are like direct to us. They're clicking on our form like, hey, we're happy to buy your house. They'll submit their inquiry like, hey, we'd like to get a cash offer. Some of them are on market, but a lot of them want full retail cash offer, which I totally get. But it's interesting. Some of them like that aren't on market, but their house should be on market. It's not. It doesn't need to be a cash house.
No.
Usually cash equals discount, because it's fast and it's like guaranteed. With some of these guys, like it's interesting because they're okay taking a discounted offer cash because they know it will happen.
Yeah.
And so like in talking to them, it's like, well, you should be at 500, for example, on market, but I mean, you have all these, costs, 7-8% cost of sale. And then, so I mean, for me, like I'm going to be closer to like the 400 mark. And they're like, oh, and like just the fact that they don't have to think about it or worry about it, like they're exploring it. It's very interesting.
It is interesting.
Just to avoid going to market, because it's a tricky seller's market right now.
Yeah.
But we're so excited to be investing. Like,
yeah, I think this is just such a funny, I mean, we've been saying this for years. It's been a funny few years, but really this year has as well.
For 3 years.
And now, like ending October, going into the next two months before the Fed meets again, and our whole industry doesn't ride or die on the Fed, but it's certainly mortgage rates are the biggest impact.
Yeah.
We're still in a buyer's market right now across the board, nationwide. Some pockets are different. You could see that change a little bit, but in general, inventory is at 9 or more months of supply, which means that we're in a buyer's market. Under 9 to 4, you're in kind of a balanced market. Under that, then you're in a seller's market. So I think this next window is like, it's just a gamble. It's like the next 2 months before the Fed meets again, and then going into Q1, it's like, who knows what's going to happen? Yay.
I mean, this isn't a market, like week where we're talking heavily on the market, just a quick update. But I think at the end of the day, like, I still agree with the phrase and the statement, like, it's never a bad time to buy real estate, as long as it's a good deal for whatever you're doing.
Whatever you're doing. Yep.
Like, I mean, today is always a great day to buy something if it matches your goals.
I agree. There's always deals out there.
And there are some really good deals.
Doesn't matter what the market is. It doesn't matter what market you're in, where you are. There's always a deal out there to be had.
There are. And I think we're seeing a lot more creative deals right now.
Yeah.
Which we love. So, all right, let's talk about this book.
One of my very favorites. I do, and I recommend it all the time.
You do?
I really do. I recommend this book, Never Enough by Jennifer Wallace, Wallace. And then I recommend some of Michael Hyatt's work on the coddling of the American mind, the righteous mind.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. They're not the same, but they are interesting. And like having just listened to Coddling of the American Mind and then listening to this book.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And they're not parenting books per se, but they are the most helpful parenting books I've read. And so there are some great parenting books out there. And there's lots of different, I mean, you ask any new mom, she's flooded with information on what she should be doing and not doing for her kids and this, that, and the other.
You ask any new dad, he's read all of the parenting books as well.
We're going to talk about that. But I do think this is an interesting, it's a psychology book and a sociology book, but through the lens of performance-based culture. And so in
our current culture.
Yeah. And honestly, culture we grew up in.
Absolutely.
Which we talked about this, like it's basically chasing achievement. It's an achievement-based culture to prove your worth. And then let's talk about mattering. The idea of mattering, I think, was one of the biggest themes, as well as connection, performance.
Give the
what
5
else?
Key ideas that you wrote on here.
Yeah. So never the achievement culture mattering. Mm-hmm. So when you feel seen, valued, and needed in society and in your community, achievement versus purpose, as well as like a parent projection, like what are we projecting onto our kids, and
from
then,
our own upbringing.
Yeah, and then and from society.
Yeah,
and then connection over performance.
I love this book for Yoked and this podcast because it just goes hand in hand. This idea of like mattering and like being yoked to something, and thinking about kids specifically, but also partnerships, and yeah, it was a very good book for this.
And I do think that one of the ideas that is, I mean, mattering is probably one of the biggest themes, right, of the entire book. But one of the other themes that kind of runs in the entire thing is this need for culture and people and community. And it is getting away from a self-indulgent type of life, and how do we make sure our kids understand the greater good of their impact on a community, on their classroom community, on a family. I mean, all these different places that they are in their sports and this and that. And so how do you help your child know that? And going back to Yoked, like, you have to do it with other people. Mm-hmm. You just can't do it by yourself. They won't get a sense of mattering by just going at it solo.
Right. And so I think before we dive in, because I think there's some fun stories that we can talk. Like, we both have had some reflective moments after reading this book, or from me listening to this book. And this is like your 19th time going through it. But
preach.
The caveat I should say, like, for our own lives, is we love our parents dearly.
Yeah.
I mean, if some of the stories we talk about, like, we love our parents, and like you only know what you know.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this, like, jokingly, like, are our kids going to look, be, here in like 30 years? And
100%.
And they're like, oh my gosh, can you believe that mom and dad did X, Y, and Z? Like,
well, I mean, some of the feedback we'll probably get is they were entrepreneurs, and so we took a back seat a lot, and like, as much as you try to mitigate some of that, like, yeah.
For sure.
And I will echo that. Like, and my sisters and I have talked about this, but my parents did the very best they could with the information they had at the time, and they were incredible parents. Mm-hmm. And yet I did grow up in an achievement culture. I was not to the extremes, told in this book, but very much so.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about like some stories and examples of like achievement culture in your life. And I think specifically we'll talk about sports.
Yeah.
To start.
Yep.
Because there's a common theme in this book about sports in high school and young kids, and travel and this and that and the club and all of that. And that was your world.
Yep. It was my world. I mean, I grew up and played competitive soccer, and then went on to play Division I at a small school, which I'm grateful for now, like, truly, because I mean, at the time, like, I wouldn't have played at a big school. I would have been second string my entire time, and you put in a lot of work then to not play. But I'm grateful I went to a school where I actually ended up playing a lot, because it's a ton of work.
I think Ingrid always downplays the fact that it's a small school and makes it seem like some JUCO, but nothing against with JUCO, but the way you say it, like, it's interesting. Like, your psychology of it is downplaying.
Sure.
And like, did you go to Texas A&M and
no,
but you played at a Division I school. You were a D1 collegiate athlete, which is super cool. Was it small?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still super cool.
It is super cool.
And it's impressive. Most, a lot of people don't do that. And so it's even interesting in this book's context of like downplaying like what it is that where you went.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Time in.
Oh, call me out. But no,
it's pertinent.
I mean, I've obviously read this book a lot. I've told my sisters to please go read this book.
Lindsay's going to read this book now.
Well, she said that she was going to, and she didn't.
No, but I just called her out on the podcast.
In preparation for book club. So, I mean, I grew up playing competitive club ball, and then obviously played at my high school for my high school team. But it was really really competitive.
Yeah.
And it was travel, and it was a ton of money for my parents to spend. And it was a incredible time commitment. I mean, I am talking Thanksgivings spent at away tournaments. I'm talking not
I mean, you
being
traveled the country.
not being allowed or not being encouraged to ski in the off season for fear of getting hurt.
And that's by coaches.
That's by coaches. Yeah. Oh, my dad would have. Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, like, and this is where, like, you know, I love my parents, but like, they never stepped in, at least that I saw, and said, like, no, we're doing this. And I do remember a girl on our team. She was our goalkeeper. She was incredible. She and her family, they're Christians. They went to church on Sunday. And there were many times that we had state cup games. They were usually always on Sunday. And if those times overlapped, she wasn't there.
Like, it was not number one.
And coach would do anything he could to get this game changed. Like, it was just life. And also, like, what does that mean for the rest of the team, right? Like, do you matter? Do you not?
Right.
Like, is this the only player? Like, it's interesting to reflect back on now. But yes, through the lens of performance-based, like, you know, worth as far as soccer went, that was a big deal for me growing up. And it certainly shaped and affected a lot of what I felt like my worth was.
Well, that's the kicker, is like, as a child, like, it's this achievement culture, how it relates to worth and like love. It's like, doing this, I need to achieve and succeed because that's how I feel loved by whoever.
Sure.
Whether it's right or wrong, it is what a child feels and thinks.
Well, and think too about schools with, you know, I mean, obviously big schools, big high schools, you know, that you think about with football, you know, down in Texas and stuff.
Like Oklahoma State, for example.
How do you make sure that you are eligible to play for that game? You have to hit grades. And that GPA is pretty low, but you have to hit grades. You don't have to be kind. You don't have to be involved in your community. You don't have to not be like an a-hole, you know, like, they care about how you perform on the field and how you perform in the classroom. That is the entire premise of this book. And that's all we care about. Like, that's all you're worth to all of society, is your performance in these two areas.
And like, it's interesting. That's a good point, because in the student, you know this, and granted, your school was a smaller D1.
But
like the
Lancers for life.
I was not a Division I athlete, but the student athletes, like at Oklahoma State, like, they, at those bigger schools, they had a ton of additional resources when it came to tutoring, making sure those grades were met.
Study hall. I will say, I mean, it is how I learned time management and time blocking 100%. Like, as an art major especially, doesn't travel well on the road, okay? But like,
on the bus.
No, I still have a scar from carving my linoleum prints on the bus right here.
That's so funny.
Gouged myself. No, but you're exactly right. I mean, we're going to give resources to those people, not people who are going to go do like the story in the book, like volunteer for search and rescue and actually save people's lives.
Well, and I think it's also important to say, like, this conversation, I feel like it's just a good conversation. It's not about right or wrong, because some might say, well, look what you did. I mean, the achievement culture pushed you, and you got scholarship to play Division I college, athlete. Like, did it work?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about working. It's about just the idea, the culture of this.
Yeah. I think it's more about, you have more to give to the world than just how fast you are and your report card.
It's not just about achievement.
Yeah.
And so we've been talking.
You bring a really different perspective, though, because you grew up in a smaller town. So one might argue, like, it was a little bit different. Like, a lot of the examples from the book, she is speaking about hubs within major metro areas.
Right.
They were all in major metro areas.
And it's all about affluent.
Very affluent, yeah.
Like neighborhoods. And I mean, we had that as well. But I mean, I feel like I definitely grew up in some form of an achievement culture, a little bit. It was like expected. It wasn't as vocalized. and specifically around the sports, like thinking about how it ties into this book and the concepts in this book, because I did not play travel sports. We didn't have club. We didn't have club ball. We didn't have any club. Where in Denver Metro, it was all about club.
Yep.
We didn't have that, but we had travel. And so like the travel team. And I vividly remember as a kid, I'm probably 12, 13 years old, like, that age, playing baseball. And for me, and I don't think my, parents, like specifically my mom, like really wanted me to do that. But I think it was less about like skill or like the competition. It was more about finances. Like financially, we just couldn't afford to do that.
But even think about that. And she talks about that in the book, which is like people getting private tutors, people getting career counseling advice when they're in elementary school. Like you didn't have access to that.
Right. Well, and like I think about like my team that I played baseball on, it's Parks and Rec team. Everybody was generally the same. We were all kind of blue collar, like, a good buddy his dad was a sheriff or a cop. Not even sheriff, just a cop. And like just blue collar, like normal people, your normal, median household, or lower. And so we were all in the same boat. We all liked baseball, and we were all pretty good. We all could have played on the travel team for sure. All of our friends, like the people that played travel, we knew them because they went to our schools. And I was thinking about what our team, like we would join a handful of times, not all the time, but there was local tournaments around our town, 15, 20 minutes away. And multiple times we joined and participated in these travel league tournaments. And we won. And it was interesting, the culture of the parents, because we would come in as the Parks and Rec team, win, and then the parents, we had two big guys on our team. They're big dudes for 13-year-olds. And as soon as we had won, like our parents on our team had learned that we needed to bring our birth certificates. Not for all of us people like me, but like
the big
guys that were like really good at hitting. And it didn't matter until we won, and it was like, wait a second, those kids are too old. They can't win. And it's all about achievement and like,
well, and the
comparison.
Kids didn't care. Those kids you were in school with 3 hours before that game. It was the parents.
It's so interesting.
And so then as a child, you're watching your parent care so deeply and so much.
So deeply. And
because
push
you
so
lost.
hard.
They wouldn't have cared if they had won. That's fascinating, isn't it?
And even the achievement culture with some of those guys on my team, like their parents were gung-ho, crazy parents. From the sports, perspective. But they didn't want that. They couldn't have them in travel ball for whatever reason.
Yep.
And so, it was just an interesting, like reflective time, thinking about your upbringing, thinking about my upbringing, and in how it relates to sports.
Yeah. Well, and the other obviously big category she focuses majority of the book on is about, these what she calls name brand universities and higher education institutions, Ivy League colleges, and where are you getting in? Obviously, we saw a scandal, a few years ago about celebrities paying. And it's not because the celebrities wanted their kids to get this top tier education. No. Yeah. It's because of the brand.
Because they wanted to go to that brand of
and
school.
Like, what message are you sending your kid when you're saying these schools are acceptable for you to go apply to and these ones aren't?
And I think the message you're sending your kid is, I don't think you can get in without me paying someone to let you in.
Right.
And like that in the book, it talks about that, how like the kids had no idea.
I know.
That their parents were doing this and rewriting essays.
These are extreme.
They are, but they were big time in the news. People went to jail. Like, it was a big deal.
So we announced our marriage after our very long courtship. And
after a very long
in my defense,
2 months
defense of my parents, like, they didn't know you.
Oh, 100%.
They didn't know your family, and we hadn't given them that chance, right? But there was a conversation had about the importance of you going back to school.
Yeah.
And at that time, like you knew that the degree that you'd been pursuing, which you would have been incredible at, wasn't what you wanted to do anymore. You'd met Dave Furlong. You now had this shift into being in the real estate world. There were no real estate degrees when us old folk went to school.
Not Oklahoma State, at least.
No, that long ago there weren't. There are now. And so you decided to not go back to school, and that was devastating to my parents.
It was.
Yeah.
And even just like reading this book, like, I mean, we've had great conversations about it. And like, I mean,
since then, oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
But at the time, like having the degree mattered. It mattered more than most things.
Yeah. More than
and
who
like
you were.
In their culture and their like sphere, like college degree really was important. And it makes sense with this idea of achievement. And like, that's what they knew.
Yeah.
And it's what they expected and wanted out of their kids. And here I come along and I'm like this kid that's not doing that. I'm beating in my own drum. And it's interesting thinking, like, for me, like, I didn't care. Like, I'm like, if I go do that and get the degree, I'm doing it and getting it for you and for other people.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need that for me. And so, I mean, you would ask me like, why? Like, why do you think that is? Yeah. And it's interesting. I need to reflect more about that, like, because I don't know. Like,
I know.
I mean,
you're an odd little duck.
I know. It just didn't. I'm like, I'm gonna succeed without it. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't need to get it. Like, it's not important to me right now. And it is fascinating. Like, my parents, they were definitely, my mom, more than my dad, was bummed. Like, she was proud that I was in college and doing the thing, and definitely bummed.
Well, you're supposed to be the first one in the family to get a degree. And she still talks about that.
She does.
And reminds
that was the thing. I was going to be the first one. And I did not achieve that to the point of it.
You didn't need that feather in your hat.
I didn't.
So let's talk about mattering, because that is how she shifted it into, okay, so these super high rates of depression and anxiety in our kids, and in these specific micro kind of societies are really boils down to a lack of these kids feeling like they matter. And so she describes mattering as humans thrive when they feel seen, valued, and needed.
Yep.
And then in the last couple chapters of the book, she does give very applicable examples, tools, on ways to do this. So if you haven't read it, go read it, because as a parent, it really does give you some of that good stuff. But I think as parents, I mean, us, like, I think the temptation, especially when you're an entrepreneur, is to parent like you work, right? So it is scoreboards and metrics. We've got stuff written all over our office on like results driven. I mean, that's
KPIs.
That's how we provide for our family.
Right.
And yes, you can say it in terms of, oh, how many families did I serve? How this, that, and the other. You have to put food on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And so I think that is the temptation, is like you're in this kind of work mode as a parent. Then how do you shift to this parent mode of like making sure your kid knows that they matter?
Yeah, that was an interesting piece for me in the book, was the mattering, because I totally agree. And she has examples of like parents that say things as an adult.
The lunchbox example.
Yeah, like she has this example in the book of this lunchbox, and this mom puts this note in the kid's lunchbox, and it's something different.
Like, good luck on your test, or
it's like that, but it's more like businessy. As far as like
go get them,
like persevere, or like their last names, whatever, like Pioli's persevere. It was something like that.
Yeah.
And she viewed it as like, you got this, kids. I believe in you.
Yeah.
And the kids, reflecting back in the book, they're like, oh, that was so much pressure.
Yeah, like I better.
Oh, Mom, you didn't realize that your lunchbox notes like put so much pressure on me?
Yeah.
That if I didn't do it, I would be failing you. And it's just like, she thought that she was doing something to help them, and it backfired.
Yeah.
And so even the things that you say, like, they matter. And I found myself in the last 2 weeks with the kids, like, telling them in specific moments, like using the word matter, like you matter to me.
Yeah. But that, and like, I mean, examples even as easy as when they get home from school, like not asking about their test.
Right.
And that's hard, but because that's what you do at school, right?
Yeah.
You take tests. That's also where they live their whole life.
Right.
And so if you're going from school to sports, and there's no white time in between for you to be a family or have interactions in your community that teach your kids that they matter outside of those items and those spaces, then I mean, that was her point. Like,
it was interesting though, because it's like super gray. Because it's like, I mean, that's where there's no like lines. And she kind of joked about how like you come home from school and like, how was your test? With excitement of like, how was it? It used to be so hard. And then it's like the kid could easily translate as like, it only matters that how my test was.
Yeah.
And then if I did bad, and then on the flip side, it's like, I'm not gonna ask about it. And then it's like, you don't care about my test?
I know, right?
It's like this,
oh no, how do you balance that?
How do you balance it?
And as a parent, it is hard. Like, and that's why Travis and I both, preface this with saying like, no fault to our parents. Like they did the best that they could, but it's challenging. I do think though, obviously with anxiety and depression, social media now, we are in an epidemic of our entire society for these things, specifically with our young people. And so really trying to help your kids feel seen and valued and like their worth extends far beyond anything that they achieve is kind of the whole premise of it.
Right. I love Dan Martell. We should redo that book, Buy Back Your Time. But I love listening to him. He talks about his kids, and I mean, who knows actually from this lens, but to me it translates well. I was watching a little clip of his recently, and he's like, I don't care like about my kids' schooling. He's like, as long as they learn how to socialize, they learn how to read and write, do math. He's like, are they becoming a good person?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to be, can they contribute to society as an adult? He's like, that is what matters to me. He's like, and truly, he's like, I do not care about the report card. And like, maybe it's just like the social media clip, but like his personality.
Isn't he the one that said like, if you think your kid is an a-hole, then the rest of society thinks your kid's probably an a-hole?
He probably said it too.
Okay.
That was Jordan Peterson, what you're talking about. But it's just so good. And I firmly agree with it when it comes to school.
Yeah.
Partly because schooling, just having the difference from Malin and Anders is different.
Yeah.
And like, it's been a good perspective of like how they thrive and how they learn.
And your kids they're so different.
They're so different.
They're just so different.
They're so different and so similar, but.
I want to like briefly just talk about our faith, because obviously we are Christians too, which is this idea of like mattering to Jesus and that our worth is given, not earned. And I do think that is a reflection of the Father, and it's a reflection of how we parent our kids and how we should parent our kids. We're not perfect, right? Only God is, but like that idea of there's nothing you can do to earn my love. It is just given to you.
Yeah.
And that is like the lens of which I think for all parents out there, try to parent your kids through, which is
truly
hard. Do your actions mimic that?
I love that. That is the ultimate lens.
Okay. If you didn't read it, go back and read it.
It's so good.
I also want to talk about, like the idea of being yoked in terms of Travis and I reading a parenting book together.
Yeah, that was, we talked about that. That was a good idea. Like
I probably can't get him to read Harry Potter, but like
I listened to it.
But it goes back to the vision casting, right? And we're doing kind of, all of our goal setting and visualizing right now for goal setting for 2026. If you visualize the parent that you are a year from now and 5 years from now, and together as a couple, you're saying, I want to be this kind of parent and I want my kids to feel like they matter. And I want to do this and I want to do this. And I want our family unit to look like this. I want people to feel like this when they're in our home. What are you doing to get there? And if you're not reading a parenting book together, you should be.
Yeah.
Just period.
Like, how are you growing? How are you growing versus just on the job training
as a yoked couple? And it does talk about the book talks a lot too about moms specifically and the burden that we carry, and that we carry it alone a lot of times. And we are knit differently. We're made differently. However, we don't these children are half ours and half of someone else's. And at the end of the day, you have to be yoked in your parenting. And so I think I challenge the listeners, what are you doing to work towards that? Because we're reading parenting books together. You should be reading parenting books together. You should be going to counseling together. You should be getting any kind of tools, but doing it together. Moms, it is not just your responsibility to do that.
Right.
You parent together.
We see that a lot.
Oh, a ton. A ton. And it's a mental load. We carry a different mental load. And she talks about that in the book. One example of when she talks about the oxygen mask. And, the author, she's sitting there listening to this woman talk about it. And she's like, so I should be putting on my own oxygen mask before.
She's like, oh, you mean the airplane thing?
Yeah. And she says, no, somebody else should be putting it on for you.
Yeah.
And that's your partner. Why isn't that should be your partner helping you put on the oxygen mask so that you can help your kids do that too. So,
so true.
Loved it.
It's so good.
Okay. Well, what are you yoked to?
What's next first?
Oh, well, you want to announce this.
I know. I'm excited. Is it here somewhere?
Oh, no.
We put it up. Anyway, it's all good. It's here somewhere. The next book, and we're going to do one more book for the year. Not two, just because it's holidays and for us, for me selfishly, I want to take longer to go through this book with you.
Yeah.
We're doing it together for our own business. But it is a purely business book. It is one of the staple foundational business books that a lot of people have heard, but a lot of people have never read. And it is called Traction by Gino Wickman and Wickman, right? Wickman.
Yeah.
I can picture the book, but Gino Wickman, and it's more like a blueprint of how you should run your business.
Yeah.
A lot of things come off of this book. It is, like I said, it is foundational. So we're going to go through that book, and it'll be in December.
It'll be November and December, talking about it December 18th.
So you got plenty of time.
But hopefully it is also kind of a kicking gear for some of that goal setting, ready to put systems and stuff in place.
Well, that's why we're doing this one, because it's a good book to ramp up into the next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some very practical things.
Yes.
So Traction, I will link it in the comments. Go get your copy. Or two copies, because you do need, we're going to have two copies, so we can do it together.
Yeah.
So back to Yoked. What are you yoked to when it comes to the lens of never enough and this conversation?
I need to do a better job of giving myself some daily reminders of ways that I can help the kids feel like they matter, because I feel like I do a good job for a few months after I read the book, because I do read it pretty regularly, and then it kind of falls by the wayside. And so I'm going to give myself some daily reminders about specific ways that I can show them that they matter.
I love that.
Yeah. What about you?
So after I'm thinking about this and with this book and this lens, and for me, I think being yoked to being open-minded and being reflective for myself. It's caused me to think about why? Why do I do what I do sometimes? Or how did I, grow up with this idea?
Yeah.
And was it good or was it not good? How do I want to have that with my kids? If I have a conversation, being reflective about it and was that good, or should I go back and fix that? I just think it's good to reflect on yourself.
Yeah.
Are you being the person that God's called you to be and that you can be, or do you need to course correct a little bit?
Well, and even obviously I relate this book mostly to parenting, but when you talked about what you're yoked to, it reminds me too of being yoked in your business to making your business partners feel like they matter. Are you making your employees feel like they matter? Everyone that you encounter in the world, do people feel like they matter when they walk in your home? Do they feel like they matter when they walk in your church? Whatever that is, because if you're able to make a business partner feel like they matter that day or in that deal or this, that, and the other, they can go home and help their kid feel like they matter. And that's what matters.
That's the call to action. Is go make someone feel like they matter today.
Yeah, I love that.
Use words that matter. I love that. All right. Well, as always, you can find me, and maybe you should follow me on all the socials at The Travis Hall, because I post cool stuff about you being yoked on a boat.
Yes, and I can be found at The Ingrid Hall on Instagram. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Yoked Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.